never take us under, because we're bringing truth like thunder, raining on your speakers like a ton of bricks. Hold the cross high.
Now, the next topic is really, it's really sick in this sense. There's 1,300 public health professionals have made a statement saying that COVID-19 concerns, right, shouldn't shut down the riots and the protests, the people coming out and protesting. They're just saying, look, we have to do this because it's so important. But you know what, Jesse? I'm going to say it again. The worship of God is more important than protests, and they don't see it that way. So what do? We have a what I call an unfair law that says churches can't have more than 25% of their capacity and no more than 100. So if you got a cathedral with 3,000 people, you can only have 100 people. This doesn't make any sense. But what they're saying, Jesse, is they really think that this discrimination is so important that they're willing to take a risk and say, look, support your protest people. Don't stop, but maintain social distance. Use a mask. But you know what? We got to do this because it's so important. Again, what are your priorities? That's my priority, is the worship of God, and I think it all should be yours too, and not to go out onto the streets when you have people funding these things that are anti-Christian principles. And so that's this article. It just says COVID-19 concerns shouldn't shut down the police brutality protests. Well, I disagree with them, and I'll tell you why. Because I believe that the worship of God is our first object in life. If you can't worship God, nothing else really matters.
Terry, and what's worse about this statement is that it's being made by the chief doctor, the chief of health, Dr. Peterson, at UNICEF. Mm-hmm. Okay? So they're using, the leftist Marxists are using, once again, like they used the WHO, WHO, they use in the United Nations. There's a lot of billionaire, socialist, Marxist promoting money into medicine, into the United Nations, into the World Health Organization, into the Center for Disease Control. And so they can get people to say whatever the socialist Marxists want because there's, just all you have to do is follow the money.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
and the article this is an upside down inversion of reality. Yeah. So everybody else has to maintain social distancing and all the safe space and stuff, except if you're rioting. That's what the article's saying.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So it doesn't apply to them, but it applies to everybody else. It says here in the article, Dr. Stephen Peterson, again, somebody who's been being paid off. He says indiscriminate lockdown measures do not have an optimal effect on the virus, he told the Telegraph. Mm-hmm. If you're asking families to stay at home in one room in a slum without food or water, that won't limit virus transmission. I'm concerned that lockdown measures have been copied between countries for lack of knowing what to do, rarely with any contextualization for the local situation. So that was a good statement. I take it back. This doctor is actually saying, you know what? This lockdown stuff is probably unnecessary, and it's probably doing more bad than good. Because,
of course it is.
Because this doctor is actually predicting. He says that in the long run, he's saying more people could be killed because of COVID-19, especially child deaths.
Yes.
Because of situations like this, because of people being locked down, many people in one house, and there's just no interaction. You're not getting vitamin D. You're not going out to the sun. You're not strengthening your immune system. So he's talking about here, the fact is, here's what he says. Dr. Peterson said these figures were in part a reflection of stringent restrictions in much of the world that prevent people leaving their homes without documentation, preventing them from accessing essential health care services. He says in some countries, the public are also avoiding hospital and health centers for fear of picking up COVID-19.
Right.
While services have also been diverted to focus on the pandemic, vaccination campaigns against diseases, including measles, have been disrupted as well. At least 117 million children worldwide are likely to miss out on the routine immunization this year. So he's saying that the lockdowns in the long run are going to do more harm than good. That's what Dr. Peterson is saying. and he's saying that who's going to pay the price for it? He's saying children, babies.
Well, we've been saying this, Jesse, for 3 or 4 months now, that the lockdown has what we call we call it a collateral damage because it wasn't intended to have. But let's face it, when you do the things that we just did, your immune system is going to be weak. People that have heart problems, they have cancer, they couldn't get to their doctors. This is causing a lot of havoc. And we didn't even talk about the mental problems where suicide is way up. We've got young people committing suicide because they think, well, who wants to be in this world? Look at the havoc we got going now. And so this is a real issue that not many people have been bringing up, Jesse, and that we call collateral damage. Millions of people. Not only that, Jesse, it also affects the worldwide food production. We were making a lot of progress in getting food to needy people worldwide, Africa, Asia, and this whole COVID-19 that came in, we shut all the production things down. That stopped people from eating even basic foods. And so this is really, I mean, it's obvious, but you know what, Jess, right now, common sense is not that common. We're doing things that make no sense. And I'm going to throw one more thing in and I'll throw it back to you. Common sense, even right now, even in our church, you know, people say, Terry, why are you being negative? No, I'm trying to say, look, what's best for Holy Mother, the church, is the best for the salvation of souls. In the near future, in the next month, there's going to be a Vatican agreement with China that's going to be renewed. The one that we've been complaining about, where churches have been torn down, they're rewriting the Bible. It's a horrible agreement, okay? Cardinal Sin, he's the one who's been telling us about how bad it is. Pray right now that our leaders in our church will have common sense to say, we can't negotiate with atheistic communists. They're destroying our church. And why do I say this? Because I have the love for the salvation of souls in China. And here, getting back to our topic here, Jesse, there's no common sense here. This is ridiculous what's going on, and millions of people will be affected for years to come.
Terry, this other article that I want to grab from also, and this is from the Centers for Disease Control Prevention.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are saying a letter signed by, nearly 1,300 public health professionals,
right,
infectious diseases professionals, and community stakeholders,
right,
says fear of COVID-19 spread is no excuse to stop people from joining police brutality protests in cities across America. Yeah. Again, that's a double standard.
It is.
So if you're violent and if you're committing